Welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Lens with your host, Jake, and I'm excited to talk about one of the things that makes Louisville unique, and that is our water. And we're here at the Louisville Water Tower, so sit back and buckle into the latest episode of the Bourbon Lens. Thank you so much for joining us to talk all things Louisville water.
Of course.
Introduce yourself, tell the
Yeah.
people what you do, and a little bit about Louisville water.
Of course. Well, thank you for coming to our house today.
Yeah.
I'm Kelly Deering-Smith. I'm Vice President of Communications and Marketing at Louisville Water. I'd like to think I have the coolest job at Louisville Water because I get to share stories and tell people all the great things about something most people take for granted.
I mean, how many times do you turn on the water to brush your teeth, or you just go get a glass of water because you're thirsty,
Yeah.
or, you just sit next to your bedside at night and you don't think anything of
It
it.
magically appears.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it runs and it's clear.
It does. It does. Well, we hope, it should be clear. It's always clear. And there's a story in every glass of water. And if you live in the state of Kentucky, Kentucky's drinking water story actually started right here in 1860. So where we're sitting at today, the Louisville Water Tower, this is where Louisville Water first pumped water from the Ohio River with giant steam engines that are in this building where we sit today, and started producing drinking water for 512 customers in 1860.
512, and now Louisville Metro is north of 1 million people.
Yeah.
And so how the pumps have probably gotten bigger and stronger.
They have. So we have gone from serving just a very small area in the Louisville area. So you think about Old Louisville, Millwood, that area, to now we're a regional water provider. We're the largest drinking water provider in the state of Kentucky. So every day, 1 million people drink our water and rely on us for safe, clean drinking water. So that's not only Louisville, it's the surrounding counties. So it's Nelson, it's Bullitt, it's Shelby, it's Spencer, it's Oldham, even a little bit of Meade County there, Hardin County.
That's crazy, because you think about the drive to like Meade County. I've made that drive many times to play football down there in high school, and going 64 through Indiana and then coming back across the bridge. It takes a while to get down that way, but that's just showing you how far you all are pumping water
Yeah, the
out.
massive footprint that we have. So from the moment we pull the water from the Ohio River until we clean it and it's ready to send to you, it takes about 2 days to make your drinking water, start to finish. Depending on where you live in the region, though, it can take up to a week to get that water to you. And in a lot of places like Hardin County, we partner with smaller water districts. So we're sending them our water through giant water mains that might travel parallel along I-65, connecting to a water district there so that they have perhaps a backup source of water. Maybe we're helping them meet a demand that they need. But water is really a regional solution when you talk about the Louisville area.
It is, and it's one of the things that, I have bragged about my entire life.
Good for you.
It's like, but have you had Louisville drinking water? It's like a topic of conversation, because you go to Florida, and I'm not hating on Florida, but you drink the tap water, and you're like, Florida, what are we doing here? And then I'm like, you haven't had Louisville water. Louisville water is the best. And like, what makes Louisville water so good? I'm like, have you ever seen the Ohio? And have you ever seen how clean your water is?
Yeah.
That's what makes it
We have a
great.
secret recipe, right?
Yeah, we do.
And that sense of pride, just what you said, that is something that is woven throughout Louisville. People are proud of our tap water here, and we're the only drinking water in North America utility that has trademarked tap water. So in Louisville, it is a water so good, it's called Louisville Pure Tap.
Yes,
It's
it
a
is.
registered trademark done back in 1997, and we did it very purposely. So you mentioned a place that you visited where water didn't taste so good. We've all gone places where we took a drink and we're like, oh, what is that? Your first indication of water quality is not the science that we do, which is, by the way, phenomenal. We cannot mess that up. But your first indication of quality is the taste, the appearance, the look, the smell.
Yeah.
So Louisville Water actually puts a premium on aesthetics. And when I say premium, it's a financial premium, it's a science premium, and it's research driven as well. Because we believe that trust in tap water starts with the first drink.
And it does. And there's nothing like the quite thirst quenching Louisville Pure Tap that I have grown up enjoying, right?
We spoiled you.
You have. And that's great, because that means I don't have to buy bottled water.
No. There's always a time for bottled water, perhaps an emergency, a natural disaster, maybe you have a health concern. But for most people, you should be able to take a glass go to the faucet, go to the dispenser on the fridge, fill it up, and that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the great thing is it freezes well too, so it makes great ice cubes.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So there's many applications of water, right? But before we get into that, right, there is, I think the most important thing is you've mentioned it a couple times, and we're going to go talk to a scientist and we're going to unpack that a little bit more. But what's the story of Louisville Water? Because you mentioned the 1800s, and we fast forward, however long.
166 years.
Thank you. I was going to say 160, and I would have gotten it close. Thank you.
Yeah.
How have you all evolved? How have you grown to continue to make sure you meet the demand that not only the consumer wants, but that you put on yourself?
Yeah. People think of us as a utility. I like to say we're in the business of public health. We make it possible for everything in this community to work. And if we screw up, we can hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
So drinking water is foundational to a community. In the 1800s, if you lived in the Louisville area in the mid 1800s, you had a beautiful well outside your house, and you didn't pay for water. It was free. You would just go get it when you needed it. You also had an outhouse that you put a little too close to the well.
Yeah.
So the groundwater here became very contaminated with cholera and typhoid, but there was no germ theory, no microscopes. People didn't understand things could hide in water. So when a group of men thought that perhaps we need a waterworks in this area to clean water, Philadelphia has one, New York, Boston have them now, people in Louisville thought these guys were crazy. They said, there's no way I'm going to pay for something when I can go to my well and get it for free. So we had a really hard sell. The reason you actually got Louisville water in the 1800s has to do with fire protection. When a great fire burned part of downtown Louisville in the 1950s, the bucket brigades throwing water on didn't work. And so finally, the city leaders thought if we could have cisterns filled with water for the fire department, maybe we could get some support for a waterworks. So we started with public health and safety in mind.
Yeah.
In 1860, now this will kind of gross you out maybe, but we would literally take water from the Ohio River, just let the mud settle out, and then we send it to your house. There was no modern treatment. So the annual reports say if you got a cup of water from Louisville Water, you had to let it sit so the mud goes to the bottom, and then you drink it really, really fast. Already better than the well water, but not totally clean. So one thing that really put Louisville on the map, and this gets into, we are continually advancing the science of what we do. In the late 1800s, we brought an individual to Louisville to develop a way to clean the water. By now, we knew things could hide in water. And so he developed a filtration system that could essentially remove 99% of the germs that are in the water. So water utilities across the world that use filtration and coagulation today, it started here in 1896. So you fast forward, now we have the Safe Drinking Water Act. We started to add chloramine to disinfect the water. Today we have an EPA certified lab that we're doing continual research. So in 1860, we were looking at what we could see with our naked eye.
Yeah.
Today we're looking at what can we detect at parts per quadrillion, and what does it matter if you live 70 or 80 years? So when you talk about innovation, it doesn't stop because the science of water is continually changing. And that's hard for consumers because they hear something and they think, oh my gosh, that's bad for me, or should I drink it? Should I not drink it? Which is why we're also a little fanatic about telling our story. The only time people hear from us or see from us cannot be when something breaks. We need more money. There's a crisis. So we are continually telling the story of how we deliver clean drinking water.
We have so got accustomed to going to the sink and just saying, hey, it runs.
Yeah.
And you may get a little frustrated if the price goes up or whatever. But then it's like you sit and you hear this conversation. It's like anything with innovation takes time to, you all have to spend money. And so we as consumers have to figure out how to say, okay, it's safer, it's better, it's going to help us live longer, it's going to help us produce better crops and better whatever. I think that goes a long way in showing that, like, hey, it's a both and. We're all in this together, and it takes a concerted effort to make sure that we're all, linking arms to make sure that we have the best water, not just today, but in 30, 40, 100 years.
Yes, high quality, safe drinking water anchors a community first for public health. But it also makes the economy grow. Water grows Kentucky's economy. From a worldwide perspective, the lack of safe drinking water is one of the biggest risks, especially to women right now. So if you think about a young woman who has to carry water every day, she's not in school, she's not getting a chance for an education. So we're very blessed to live where we do. But even in the United States, there are about 2 million people who lack access to safe drinking water.
That's tough.
A lot of them are on reservation properties. Some of them are here in Kentucky. There are places in Kentucky where there are still issues getting water to folks. We all probably once or twice a year, the power flips or something, or cable goes out, right? Or you lose a cell phone signal. But for most of us, we don't go longer than a few hours without water, if ever, at our home and business. So I think that reliability piece also can be a detriment if you don't talk about what you do, because it's easy to take it for granted.
100%. And people are probably like, Jake, why are we talking about water at this point? Well, we're talking about water because, one, I like water and I drink a lot of it, but two, because it also has an important story along with bourbon.
Of course it is. We're bourbon's best friend.
Yeah. And without, we've spent a lot of time this year in the podcast, in particular, talking about the agricultural part of bourbon. It's vital. And water is part of that agricultural experience. So you said there was a unique story that ties bourbon and water together, in this location. So what is that?
So when we started in 1860, we were having a really hard time getting people to pay for drinking water because they had free well water. So the city leaders would bring folks to the water works, as they called it at the time, and they would give them a tour. And so they would look at you and say, Jake, look at the beautiful architecture. Look at the beautiful steam engines. Don't you want to subscribe to the Louisville Water Works? And after we gave you a tour of the steam engine, we would sit down with you at this very property and we would serve you a shot of Johnny Walker. So we didn't even serve water on the tour. To get you to buy water, we thought bourbon would get you some water. So our story with bourbon literally goes back to 1860. And we also had a special rate for distillers.
Wow.
There were no water meters in the 1860s. So if you wanted water from us, we would look at you and say, Jake, tell me about your log cabin. Do you want a faucet? Great. Do you have a cow? Great. That might be an extra $1 a year. But if you're a distiller, we're looking at you and saying, now, how many barrels do you think you're going to distill this year? Because that'll be 10 cents for every barrel for water. And you'd come downtown and pay in person.
Wow.
So our history with bourbon has literally spanned over 166 years. We have some records in our archives that show when distilleries would come in and ask for permission to connect. So Whiskey Row is a great example there. So today, 20 distilleries in the region use our water every day for their recipes. So I like to say there's a little bit of Louisville water in some of the world's best-selling bourbons.
Well, and people probably say, well, what about the Ohio? Is the Ohio going down? No, the Ohio's right behind us. It's still running pretty strong back there. So, I mean, even though we're using this water and it's, going a multitude of places, the river's not running dry.
One of the things that makes this a unique story is that if we just sat here every day and enjoyed the weather and sat here and enjoyed the view, 75 billion gallons of water are going by us in the Ohio River. Yesterday, Louisville Water pumped 165 million gallons of water. It's a drop out of the bucket.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean we need to waste water. We need to be very mindful, but we have a plentiful supply. The river is also really good for the bourbon sector because of the limestone. Our water here is more hard than soft.
Yeah.
And so that natural filtration through the limestone that we're getting in the aquifer and in the river gives us a good, consistent recipe for bourbon.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because if you go to a distillery tour, the one thing they're going to talk about is the water, the limestone shelf. But it's like, are you really getting it from the limestone shelf, guys? Like, you're getting it, other ways. And it's a lot of times from you all.
It is.
And we were just in Shively yesterday doing a podcast. And I think one of the things that we don't realize is bourbon really started in West Louisville.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's, the Bernheim distillery or the Stitzelweller distillery or National Distillers some of these are now defunct, right? And it's like you all were impacting bourbon at such an early and pivotal time that people don't realize
So our
all that.
archives have a drawing of Stitzelweller
Wow.
and the service connection that we did for them. Because early on, the connection to those distilleries was not for production; it was for fire protection.
Mm,
So you think about the big wooden warehouses, trying to protect the barrels. So they initially used us for fire protection, and then by the 1930s and 40s, you started to see that we were part of the actual production.
wow.
Today, it's both.
Yeah.
Now, bourbon distillers, they're going to take the recipe that we give them,
Mm,
and at some point they're gonna alter that recipe of water a little bit to meet their needs.
yeah.
But for the most part, it's a pretty consistent product, and a lot of times we'll invite distilleries into our shop. So you're going to go to the lab today,
Yeah.
and I like to call it sip with the scientist.
Yeah.
So we'll bring we'll bring the distillery team in, and we'll really get into the science of what are we doing with our treatment?
Mm,
What are we doing with the finished product? What do you need to know if you're producing bourbon
yeah.
that might impact your recipe?
For sure. And we were here a year ago, and this kind of all started this thought process too. And you and Owen Martin
Yeah.
from Angel's Envy were talking about the importance of that and how he came and got, jugs right from
Literally
here.
got jugs from the lab.
Yeah, to create the 2 grain
Yeah.
bourbon that they did. And it's just so cool how water weaves in and out, and it's something that's a part of our daily lives. And it has a story,
has a
not just
story.
coming out of the faucet. It has a story to why we can, enjoy life and enjoy all the things that
Yeah.
Kentucky has to offer.
Yeah, I do get a lot of questions sometimes from folks on, you're a drinking water utility. Why are you working with the bourbon sector? And for me, the answer is very, very simple. One, it aligns with our history. Our scientists are like master distillers. We're producing a product that has a profile.
Yeah.
The economy, bourbon is a big part of Louisville Water's portfolio.
Yeah.
And so if you have one of your largest users, your largest customers, some of your best endorsements, why wouldn't you work with them? So, we're the only trademark tap water. I like to think we're the only drinking water utility with an entire webpage dedicated to bourbon.
But one question I have, right? So when we think about the grand scheme of water, and I live in my little Louisville bubble, and I love my little bubble here. But how does this compare to, some of the larger, cities like a New York or an LA? Like, do you all share ideas? Like, how
Yeah.
do you differentiate? Because I know we compete. Like, I
do.
know there's competitions for water
Yeah.
sources. Like, how does this all kind of come together?
Yeah. So when it comes to sharing information with water utilities, there's an entire network. There's 50,000 utilities,
Wow.
water utilities in the United States. Most of them, fun fact, serve less than 3,000 people.
Whoa.
So when you talk about large utilities, you're talking about cities like Louisville, Denver, Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami. And so we frequently share ideas with those utilities. Perhaps it's on water treatment, perhaps it's on branding. Louisville Water does have a very robust branding and marketing program, so a lot of times people are coming to us for ideas.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit of friendly competition. We have won national taste tests with our water. But when it comes to quality, the treatment plants here in Louisville rank as 2 of the top 19 in North America.
Wow.
For going above and beyond. And that means a lot. The water network in the United States is very well connected in terms of research as well. So when you talk about things that we're looking at in the lab, we're sharing that information with other utilities, and they're sharing information with us because we're not competing for customers in Denver or Chicago. We might be competing for them to locate a business here.
Yeah.
But when it comes to water treatment, we should be sharing that information
Yeah.
so that we all can innovate together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's the fun thing is it gives you bragging rights,
Oh,
but your
yeah.
bragging rights allow you to share with other people to make sure that their population is healthy and
Correct.
enjoying good water as well.
Correct.
Yeah. So when we think about just kind of my last thing, the historic site that we're sitting at, right? Because if you've come down River Road or come down Zorn, you've inevitably seen this beautiful site right here on the river. So what's the history here, and do you all still use this? How does that work?
Yeah. So the Louisville Water Tower is where Kentucky's drinking water story begins. Today, it's no longer used for drinking water production, but it's home to the Waterworks Museum. So we host tours, we host special events to talk about water, school field trips, adults, bourbon enthusiasts. You'll never look at a glass of water the same after you spend some time with us. So if you come to the Waterworks Museum, You'll get to see the story of Louisville's water. Lots of archives, lots of things to look at. You'll do a tour of the grounds. You actually get to go inside the Louisville Water Tower.
Wow.
And we're located next to our active pumping station where we're pulling water from the Ohio River right now. And you'll actually get to take a tour of that pumping station too. Wow. So our tours are open to the public. You schedule them online. It's a great, great school field trip, or just if you're curious, there's no better place on a sunny afternoon also to hang out.
It's absolutely gorgeous down here. And I know you all have had events down here. And so always pay attention to what you all are doing, because it's never just the same status quo every year.
Right.
There's always something new and different that happens.
Yeah. So this is definitely an education hub for Louisville Water. We want the community to know the story of their drinking water. We want the community to appreciate the story. But probably most importantly, we want you to trust us, and we want you to tell your friends to drink it when they enjoy, just like you talked about.
I mean, everybody who comes to Louisville, I'm like, you just got to drink the water.
Pour a cup,
and
right?
They're like, why? And I'm like, you just let it happen. Enjoy it. It's like, instead of cracking a crisp soda, it's, a nice crisp water.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, and it's a lot of fun. Well, if you are ever curious about Louisville water, and you want to know more about the connection between this and Bourbon, add this to your stop on the Bourbon Trail. It's a really unique experience. It gives you, when you step in here, it gives you a sense of yesteryear a little bit, and what Louisville was, back then, but also giving you a tint to the future. So where can people find out more about Louisville Pure Tap and Louisville water in general? Very
easy, LouisvilleWater.com. You can also follow us on social. So we have a channel just for this site, the Louisville Water Tower. You can also follow us on Louisville Water. Take a picture if you're down here, tag us, and we'd love for you to be a brand ambassador, just like you are.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks everyone for listening about, one of my favorite things about being a Louisvillian, which is the water. And we'll catch you next time. Cheers. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Bourbon Lens. If you want more exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/Bourbon Lens and join our growing community. If you just want to stay friendly with us, you can go over to Instagram, X, and Facebook and follow us there. Also, our YouTube page is growing, and we're producing more content there, like Thursday Thoughts and 5-Minute Fridays. So don't forget to smash the subscribe button and catch all the content that we are producing every week. And until next time, cheers.